Committee on Finance and Administration to order. We're going to take up the following items for approval. Action item 1A is approval of the minutes of the November 20, 2023 meeting. I move approval of action item 1A. Do I have a second? Thank you. Now, any discussions or questions or amendments to those minutes? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. We will now address action item B, the policy calendar. Policy item 1B1 is a resolution to authorize the allocation of $37 million in operating funds for senior colleges appropriated in the fiscal year 2024 New York State enacted budget. The university received $93 million in new baseline operating funds for senior colleges in fiscal year 2024 in the state enacted budget. $56 million of those funds were allocated in June 2023, leaving an unallocated balance of $37 million. The university is grappling with structural deficit and has developed various strategies to achieve fiscal stability. One strategy is utilizing unallocated funds to assist senior colleges experiencing significant financial difficulties. The university is seeking the board's approval to allocate $37 million in baseline operating funds in the following manner for fiscal 2024. Allocate a portion of the $37 million to senior colleges that have met structural reduction targets assigned by the university, but will still have a remaining cash deficit at the end of fiscal 2024, and allocate all of the remaining amounts to the rest of the senior colleges. The university will report to the board through the Committee on Finance Administration the final allocation made to senior colleges. Senior Vice Chancellor for Budget and Finance and Chief Financial Officer Sharif Solomon will provide further background on this item and answer any questions. Vice Chancellor Solomon, please.
Thank you, Chair Berger. So, as you know, the university has been dealing with a structural deficit. The presence of the structural deficit has existed since fiscal year 2020, and the university has taken a number of actions to address it, to reduce it. To date, several actions have been taken, including 2 rounds of across-the-board savings targets, hiring freezes, institution of a vacancy review board, and many other actions. These actions also included, or the structural deficit being able to counteract that, also included the use of one-time emergency federal assistance through the HERF funds, and also additional state operating aid as well in the past 2 state budgets. To give an example of how we've been able to make progress on the structural deficit, in fiscal year 2022, the structural deficit amounted to $234 million and was reduced the following year by $80 million to $154 million. And the current projection for fiscal year 2024 is that by year end, we will have a structural deficit of $128 million, almost halfway, or almost half of what it was just 2 years prior. So we have a plan to be able to continue to make progress on reducing the structural deficit. And rather than applying additional across-the-board savings targets, we have decided to have a more targeted approach. A more targeted approach that would basically focus on specific colleges that have shown signs of acute fiscal distress. To do that, we developed an objective criteria to determine which colleges would be of high financial concern. One criterion, the main criterion, is whether or not a college was projected at the end of this fiscal year to have a cash deficit. If a college was not planned to have a cash deficit at the end of this fiscal year, the other parts of the criteria would be that at least 2 of the following metrics were present: a structural deficit of 5% or more of college annual resources, inadequate remaining federal stimulus funds or reserves to offset the college's structural deficit over the next 3 years, or the fiscal year 2024 enrollment trend is not on track to meet college revenue needs. Based on this criteria, 9 colleges were identified as having acute financial challenges. 5 of the 9 colleges are projected to have a cash deficit at the end of fiscal year 2024, which is 5 months away. And so the strategy to bring these colleges into immediate and long-term balance involves new restrictions, including a new deficit reduction plan and hiring restrictions, to be able to meet deficit reduction targets that were established after a careful review of the financial plans. Beyond the imposition of these additional restrictions, there are other strategies that the university is pursuing on a university-wide basis, including shared services, for example, on items like IT, on items like collections, and also looking at strategies on more efficient class scheduling. And on the revenue side, of course, we are continuing our emphasis on strengthening enrollment and recruitment, and of course, using prudently the one-time funds that the board authorized and the state approved for transformative initiatives. And of course, going into the budget season, we will be working with our state and city partners to ensure additional resources for CUNY. We are encouraged by the executive budget and the items that were in there, and we will continue to work with our partners for additional funding for the university. And as the chair mentioned, part of this resolution also talks about the reporting to the board, how we plan to use this revenue allocation, the $37 million, to basically make sure that the subset of the 9 colleges that have met their deficit reduction targets but are still running a cash deficit, that this strategic fund allocation will help them end in balance, and that the remainder of the allocation will be allocated to senior colleges based on full-time equivalent statistics. So that is my update, Mr. Chair, and happy to take any.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. I move the approval of policy item 1B1. Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? I can't imagine. Professor Vazani, please.
I laud this because I come from a campus that has one of these so-called structural deficits. A lot of them were built by declining enrollments, but a few years back there was a process started but not finished, for good reason perhaps, of looking at the senior college allocation model. And I'm wondering if there's an overlap between the campuses that are running these structural deficits and those that were identified in the allocation model as being underfunded, which is a common belief at the College of Staten Island, perhaps elsewhere as well.
I am aware that there was an allocation funding model that was discussed. I think that is something we'll continue to discuss as we move forward into, as you know, the strategic roadmap includes a new operating budget model, and there are all kinds of things that we are looking at moving forward about how we allocate funding and how we budget. So we'd be happy to take a closer look and meet with you specifically to talk about how the model could be improved.
I think what we're doing is we're starting all over again because it didn't happen the last time. And we've had discussions about it, and we hope going forward. It's a fraught topic, but it's something that has to be done, and it's something that the new chief finance officer is enthusiastic about jumping into. Any other discussions or questions on this item? Hearing none. Let's proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item 1B1 is approved. Thank you. Policy item 1B2 is a resolution to approve the acceptable use of digital assets and resources policy, replacing the acceptable use of computer resources policy. Vice Chancellor for Information Technology and University Chief Information Officer Seb Formoso is available to provide further background on this item or to answer any questions. Vice Chancellor.
Thank you. Basically, we have refreshed and redone our policy. The previous policy had been put in place in January of 2007, had been renewed in 2012, was in need of a dramatic amount of updates, which we completed after putting together a committee that was comprised of various representation across the university. The essence of what we did was clarify what was already in place and to make it more useful in today's environment. But I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any
Okay.
questions.
I move the approval of policy item 1B2. Do I have a second? Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Don't be shy.
Well, it's not, I don't need to bring this up, but at a previous meeting, I noticed that there were 5 incidents where there should have been reporting done to the UFS chair as per that policy, as per this policy, and it wasn't done, and would like to know about the commitment to the policy.
We are, I'm not sure I understand, John.
I forget the section number, but there's some notification that the UFS chair should receive. Are there incidents involving some faculty? And there was a executive session report on 5 such incidents, and I had no notification.
We will do better going forward, shan't we?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
sure. We will definitely meet them. I was not aware of it. Sure.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion on this item? If not, we'll proceed to, I'm sorry, Ned?
Can you explain the important changes, say like the 3 most important things that you changed?
There was a number of changes, but the most important thing that we did is we clarified, right, the policy so that it meets our requirements in 2024 versus when it was originally written. The IT structure has dramatically changed, and there were frankly inaccurate references that had to be corrected.
I see. So it would be fair to say that this was more housekeeping, in a sense that it was updating and housekeeping. It's not a fundamental change in rights and
There's not a
practice.
material fundamental change, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
okay, great.
It makes it useful to us in today's
Great,
environment.
wonderful. And absolutely needed.
And always looking for more input.
Right.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please
Aye.
indicate. Any opposed? Any abstentions? This matter is approved. Policy item 1B3 is a resolution to authorize a contract with 6 consulting firms to provide technical IT consulting services. The City University of New York seeks to authorize a contract with 6 consulting firms to provide temporary technical IT consulting services on an as-needed basis to support information technology projects across the university. The university is proposing to enter into contracts with 6 firms: Integrated Staff Corporation, Cogent, ACS, Infogenie, Tech Systems, I&I Software, for 5-year terms commencing on the date that the contract is approved by the Attorney General of New York State and the New York City Controller. Each such contract shall be for an amount not to exceed $3 million for a combined aggregate amount not to exceed $18 million for a term not to exceed 5 years. Vice Chancellor for Information Technology and University Chief Information Officer Formoso is available to provide further background. And I'll just ask, even before you get into that, we have a number of these tech contracts that seem to fill in holes or whatever where we haven't hired full-time people. Can you sort of wrap up, or will you be able at some point to provide, a comprehensive review of, because I don't know how many there are, but it seems like every meeting we're doing another 1 or 2. So I'll ask,
Yes, we can. In
I'll ask the Vice
next
Chancellor
subcommittee
to-
meeting, we can definitely provide the review.
okay, and can you tell us about these 6 contracts.
So the point of this resolution is to be able to have us shorten our cycle time to engage temporary IT consultants when and if needed. This resolution does not give me the right to spend money on these consultants. What it does is it gives us the right to go into a relationship with these 6 companies so that we can do in the future business with them at pre-negotiated rates. I would liken this to a CUNY IT version of the OGS contract, where we have relationships at pre-negotiated rates that are pre-agreed to, and when and if we need something, and when and if the board approves me to go and engage consultants for those things, the cycle time for procurement will be short-circuited, will be cut shorter because of this agreement.
Thank you. I move the approval of policy item 1B3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions on this item? Seeing none, must proceed to a vote. All those in favor indicate. Any opposed? Any abstentions? This item is approved. Policy item 1B4 is a resolution to authorize a contract with Elsevier BV for the Digital Commons Institutional Repository Platform. Easy for you to say. The current contract with Elsevier BV expires on June 30, 2024, and the university is seeking authorization to renew this contract for a period of 4 years in the amount not to exceed $1,022,880.81, and will be issued against the New York State OGS contract number PC 69960. University Dean of Libraries and Information Resources, Kristen Hart, is available to provide further background on this item or to answer any questions as needed. I move the approval of policy item 1B4. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor indicate.
Aye.
Opposed indicate. Abstentions. Seeing none, this matter is approved. Policy item 1B5 is a resolution to approve the Personnel Matters Report of the Finance and Administration Committee. The February 2024 Personnel Matters Report is generated from employees' data entered into the university system of record between October 13, 2023 and December 15, 2023, and does not contain appointments that have been submitted as individual resolutions. The report contains a total of 32 ECP actions, including 9 regular appointments, 8 interim appointments or interim appointment extensions, 6 salary changes, and 9 resignations. Executive Vice Chancellor and Chief Operating Officer Hector Batista is available to provide further background on this item or to answer any questions. I move the approval of policy item 1B5. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate. Any opposed? Any abstentions? This matter is approved. Policy items 1B6 through 1B20 are resolutions to appoint regular and interim members of the Executive Compensation Plan as follows, and I apologize for any names that I butcher. Policy item 1B6, Borough of Manhattan Community College, Joy Tolliver as an interim Assistant Vice President, Executive Legal Counsel, and Labor Designee. Policy item B7 to B9, Bronx Community College, Raymond Galinsky, Interim Dean of Institutional Effectiveness, Manny Lopez, Interim Vice President of Student Affairs, Jessica Hill Seliger, Interim Dean of Workforce Development and Continuing Education. Policy item 1B10, Brooklyn College, Maria Sharon Del Rio, Dean of the School of Education. Policy item B11 in the Central Office, Alice Alvaro, Vice Chancellor for Academic and Faculty Affairs at the City University of New York. Policy item B12 and B13, the CUNY Graduate Center, Brian Gibney, Interim Dean for the Sciences, and Monica Farsagni, Interim Associate Provost and Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences. Policy item B14, College of Staten Island, Ralph Peets is Dean of Science and Technology. Policy item B15, Gutman Community College, Curtis Dan Messier, Interim Dean of Academic Innovation and Career Success. Policy item B16, Alexis Eggleton, Interim Vice President for Institutional Advancement. Policy item B17, at Kingsborough Community College, Mary Dawson as Associate Provost and Dean of Health Programs. Policy item B18, at the Medgar Evers College, Shu Ping Sandy Han, Dean of the School of Science and Allied Health. Policy item B19, Queensborough Community College, Ellen Hartigan, Interim Dean of Continuing Education and Workforce Development. And policy item B20, Kingsbury Community College, Suri Duich as Interim President. I move the approval of policy items 1B6 through 1B20. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion on any of these people? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? These items are all approved. With no more items on the agenda, I thank you all for your attention and participation, and I move to adjourn the meeting. Any opposition? Seeing none, the matter is approved.